The space station Brightwell Academy was supposed to be the finest interspecies school in the Orion Spur, a place where future diplomats and ship captains learned together in peace. Reality was not always like brochures promised. On her first day, Eliara Varen, a disabled Vorgani girl, rolled her hoverchair down hallway C. Her white hair fell like silk over the sleek metal frame. Where other Vorgani carried humming spinal crystal conduits, Eliara's looked cracked, her biocrystal nerves damaged since birth. Walking, lifting, even holding objects too long caused tremors, but her eyes sparkled with intelligence, bright, curious blue. She whispered to herself, "Maybe. This time will be different." Most students ignored her. Others stared. Vorgani were known for their grace, strength, and telekinetic combat arts. A disabled one? That drew whispers. Her translator chime beeped. A group blocked her path. 3 students from the Ravik Dominion, insectoid and armored, sneered down. "Broken crystal," one hissed in a clicking voice. "How does a defect get accepted here?" Another mocked. Eliara shrank into her chair. I'm just going to class." Slap-a-kitten's palm struck her cheek. The sting brought tears, not from pain, but humiliation. The third bully leaned close. "Vorgani are feared warriors. But you? A disgrace." They slapped her again, enough to knock her head back. Students around pretended not to see. Some hurried away. A teacher glanced, hesitated, and left. That hurt more than the slaps. Eliara closed her eyes. "Please, someone, anyone." Middle, the human's step, and just as the bullies reared back for another blow, a metal cafeteria tray smacked into the leader's head. Clang. The Ravik staggered, and there they were, 4 humans, not fresh students. Older, muscular, eyes sharp. Their school badges marked them as participants in the Human Veteran Rehabilitation Exchange Program, soldiers rebuilding their lives after war. Leading them was Sergeant Mason Hale, left arm replaced with a sleek prosthetic of titanium black alloy. He pointed a finger at the bullies. "Back away from the girl." The Ravik clicked mockingly. "And what will soft-skinned bipeds do about it?" Another human, Corporal Vega, cracked her knuckles. "Test our softness." The largest bully lunged. Mason moved first, smooth, deadly fast, grabbing the Ravik's arm and slamming him to the ground. His cyber arm hissed and locked. Next, the 2 remaining tried to swarm him, but Jackson Jax Wu, a human medic with a heavy exosupport brace on one leg, stepped between them and Eliara like a shielding wall. No one touches her. The bullies froze, unsure how to engage against trained warriors. Vega smirked. "Thought so." The Ravik scrambled away, chittering threats. Humans. "You will regret this." "The Academy Council will hear," Mason answered coldly. "Good, they need to." As they fled, Vega kneeled next to Eliara. "You okay, kid?" Eliara tried to speak, but voice cracked. So she just nodded. Mason stood rigid, fists shaking, fury simmering just beneath control. Jax gently placed a blanket over her legs. "We've seen this before," he said softly. "Whole worlds promise peace, but don't defend the vulnerable." Eliara looked up in disbelief. "Why? Why would you help me?" Mason crouched to meet her eyes. "There's a very old human rule. You don't hurt kids, and you definitely don't hurt someone who's already fighting life harder than you." She blinked, shocked at kindness she didn't expect from Deathworlders. Later, truth revealed, they took Eliara to the human quarters, a cozy converted cargo bay with flags and mismatched couches across the walls. Veterans recovering physically and mentally from war chatted, laughed, even played old Earth games. Eliara felt warm, safe. Mason offered a drink. Eliara held the cup, but her fingers trembled violently. The cup shook, fell, spilled. She gasped and apologized rapidly, mortified, but Jax just smiled. "Hey, messes prove you're alive. Chairs are easy to wipe." For the first time in months, Eliara laughed, a small but beautiful sound. Then she noticed a patch on Mason's uniform, a phoenix rising. "What is that?" Mason's eyes darkened, but his smile held. "Unit insignia. We were soldiers, survivors. Many of us couldn't return to Earth. They gave us a new start here." Vega tapped her prosthetic jaw. "Some of us lost parts. Others lost more." Eliara understood. They were wounded too. just differently. She whispered, I wish I were strong like you. Mason shook his head. You endured alone. We had whole squads behind us. Don't tell me your strength is less than ours. Her heart fluttered. No one had ever said she was strong before. The storm. Prepares. Next morning. Alarms blared. Station meeting. Mandatory. The auditorium filled. Hundreds of species buzzing nervously. On stage stood the Ravik bullies. Hamming up their injuries. They assaulted us, the leader cried. Clutching his fully intact head, a counselor glared at the humans. Veterans Hale, Vega. Wu, you are suspended pending investigation. Gasps. Mason clenched his jaw, but didn't protest. That restraint only fueled the Ravik's arrogance. Humans, one sneered loudly. A mistake to educate Death World animals. Eliara trembled. No. They were the only ones who helped her. She rose, chair humming, and floated forward. Everyone stared. Her voice shook, but carried. They defended me. The Ravik attacked me first. Whispers exploded. The counselor frowned. Do you have proof? Eliara's shaking fingers accessed her hoverchair memory logs, projecting the bully's attack in perfect hollow recording. Slap, slap, slap. The entire room watched their cruelty in silence. Mason's eyes widened at Eliara's bravery. The Ravik sputtered, but the truth was undeniable. The counselor stepped aside as station security escorted the bullies away. Justice. At last, the humans were cleared. But Eliara wasn't finished. She turned toward the crowd, her voice cracking. I was hurt. Worse by those who looked away. The silence that followed was heavy. Shameful Eliara's fracture, and humanity's response later that day. Her biocrystals flared dangerously, the stress pushing her damaged nerves too far. She collapsed, twitching, unable to move. Mason picked her up gently, carrying her like precious glass. How long has this been happening? Eliara gasped. My species sees defects as dishonor. My parents sent me here to hide me. Jack swore quietly, furious. We'll fix this, Mason promised. She shook her head weakly. You can't. Vornex's surgery costs more than a star frigate. Jax looked at Vega, then at the dozen watching human veterans. They exchanged a silent decision, one forged in war. In loyalty, Mason stood and announced, humans will pay. The veterans around him raised fists. Prosthetics, crutches, and cyber limbs in agreement. Eliara sobbed, overwhelmed. But why? Mason knelt again, same level, same earnest fire. Because someone should have stood up for you long before we did. Now you've got a squad. Eliara reached for Mason's hand, her trembling, fingers curling around his metal. Once, thank you, she whispered. He smiled. You helped us too. She blinked. How? Mason's voice softened, like a commander revealing something sacred. We forgot who we were fighting for. You reminded us. Ending. A new future weeks passed. Doctors treated. Eliara's crystal conduits with advanced human cyber neural mesh, an experimental tech built from battlefield nerve repair kits. Her tremors faded. For the first time, she could stand on her own. When she wobbled, Mason's hand steadied her. Easy, one step at a time. Students who once ignored her now cheered as she walked the hall, her repaired crystals glowing like starlight. But the biggest change wasn't physical. She no longer rolled alone. Humans flanked her the way. Soldiers guard a VIP, not to intimidate others, but because she was one of them. On the final day of the semester, the station commander called a special assembly. Let us honor those who show us the true meaning of unity. Eliara was invited on stage. She looked out, past species, politics, fear, to the veterans smiling proudly below. I once believed my disability made me worthless, she said, voice clear. But strength isn't walking without falling. Strength is rising again, and helping others rise with you. Applause thundered across the chamber. Her hover chair was still nearby. But now it was a tool, not a prison. As the humans gathered around her, Vega whispered, from now on, kid, nobody lays a hand on you unless they want to meet all of us. Eliara laughed, confident, radiant. Then I'll never be afraid again. Mason rested a hand on her shoulder. You're family now. She nodded, a tear of joy falling. A disabled girl no longer alone. A squad of wounded veterans rediscovering purpose. And the galaxy learning something new. Humans don't abandon their own. And once they decide someone is their own, heaven help anyone who threatens them. Brightwell Academy enjoyed a rare moment of unity. Alien students mingled with humans, and Eliara became a symbol of courage. But peace has a cruel habit of being temporary, deep beneath the station. The Ravik Dominion bullies plotted revenge, joined now by those who resented humans' sudden influence. A hulking Ravik enforcer slammed his fist against a console. That girl shamed us. Those humans humiliated us. A masked recruiter stepped from the darkness, voice slick like oil. And what do soldiers crave most? He asked. War, the Ravik growled. No, the recruiter said, smiling wickedly. What they crave is a reason. He revealed a case glowing with stolen tech. Vorgani crystal disruptors. One strike could shatter Eliara's repaired spinal conduits, killing her. The Ravik leader's mandibles clicked in excitement. Then we give them their reason. Middle. A family grows unaware of the danger. Eliara trained with Mason and Vega daily. No need to prove anything, Jax always reminded her. But it feels good, doesn't it? Being strong? Eliara had learned basic self-defense, stabilizing stances with her shining new neural mesh. Each day she walked farther. Each day she smiled more, Mason observed, arms crossed proudly. You don't need powers to be powerful. I feel like I'm becoming someone new, she confessed. Mason shook his head. No, you're finally becoming who you always were. Even teachers took notice. Ambassador Rala, a towering amphibian diplomat, approached Mason one afternoon. The girl could inspire millions, she croaked. Would you allow her to speak at the Galactic Harmony Summit? Eliara nearly fainted. Me? A disabled girl, speaking before leaders of 50 worlds? Mason looked straight into her eyes. You earned it. The attack begins. The summit arrived, banners glittering in the main hall. Eliara waited backstage with humans surrounding her like a living fortress. She peeked from behind the curtain. Delegates, generals, officials. Thousands watching. Her repaired crystals hummed nervously. What if I trip? Then, Vega said, we'll trip with you. Eliara laughed until the lights flickered, then died. Emergency beacons flared red. A synthetic voice echoed. Security lockdown initiated. Screams rang out in the dark. Mason's instincts snapped to war mode. Everyone form up. Vega, protect the girl. Jax, evac route. A Ravik war screech pierced the chaos. The bullies emerged, armored, armed, hungry for vengeance. There you are, little defect. They fired a crystal disruptor. Time slowed. Eliara froze, legs locking. Terror flooding back, but Vega's cyber arm intercepted the shot. Sparks exploded. Pain seared her circuits. But she stood firm. You will not hurt her again. The room erupted into chaos. Ravik troops rushing the stage. Mason took the lead. Veterans, to me. A roar answered. Dozens of human warriors charged in tight formation, prosthetics whirring, battle scars igniting with purpose. They fought like they trained, not as broken remnants. But as a united front line, each human shouted as one, we protect our own. The turning point Eliara's hover chair reactivated, shielding panels sliding into place. Jax guided her deeper backstage as Mason held the line. But the Ravik leader found them. Time to finish what we started. He slammed the hover chair, knocking Eliara out onto the floor. The world spun, her frail limbs trembling. Again, the Ravik lifted his disruptors and smiled. Goodbye. Defect. Suddenly, clang! Mason's cyber arm crushed the weapon mid-shot. His voice was deathly calm. You picked the wrong girl. The Ravik slashed claws. Mason blocked with his metal arm, retaliating with a brutal elbow strike. They grappled, claws versus steel, until Mason headbutted him hard enough to crack chitin. The Ravik fell, unconscious. Mason turned to Eliara, but she was crawling toward a child, a tiny alien boy, trapped under rubble. Crying, her own fear forgotten, she braced, focused everything she had learned, and lifted. The beam with pure manual effort and a spark of telekinetic instinct. The boy scurried free. Eliara collapsed again, exhausted, but smiling. Jax stared in awe. You just saved a life. Kid, Eliara whispered, I'm not worthless. I'm someone who helps. And something awakened in her core. Her damaged crystals suddenly glowing brighter than ever before. A voice that changed worlds. Backup forces arrived. Station security securing the remaining Ravik operatives. Lights restored. Injuries treated. The crowd gathered again, shaken but united. Despite everything, Iliara insisted. I still want to speak. Mason tried to protest. You need rest. No, she interrupted. I need to finish what I started. She walked, a little shaky, but on her own power. Standing at the podium, she surveyed a silent galaxy. Her voice trembled at first. I used to think strength meant perfection, that broken parts meant a broken person. Then she grew taller, brighter. But humans taught me something. Strength is what you stand for. And I stand for every person who's been pushed down. Delegates leaned forward, captivated. We are not burdens. We are survivors. And survivors make the best shields. Why? Because we know exactly what pain feels like. And we refuse to let anyone else go through it alone. A human veteran in the crowd yelled, HFY. Humans, feet. Yeah. The entire hall erupted into cheers. Iliara's smile carried the warmth of a rising sun. Ending, a new family. A new legacy. The Galactic Council took action. The Ravik Dominion was penalized. Disabled rights protections were mandated across all member worlds. Human rehabilitation soldiers became official peace guardians. But most importantly, Iliara was no longer alone. She wore a custom badge over her heart, humanity's honorary squad mate, and Mason pinned a second insignia beside it. Phoenix Unit, rise stronger. We're family now, he reminded her. Iliara took his metal hand in hers, steady, confident. Yes, we are. She looked out the viewport, the stars no longer distant strangers. Where do we go from here? She asked. Mason smiled, the smile of a warrior finally at peace. Wherever someone needs us. The humans cheered. Iliara's crystals glimmered like constellations reborn. And together, they stepped forward. An unbreakable alliance. The disabled girl became the heart of a war-born family. The wounded humans became the shield of the galaxy. And the galaxy learned one final lesson. Do not threaten the ones humans protect. Because when they stand as one, they are unstoppable.